All right, we just learned the basics of CSS syntax, and now it is time to make this look closer and closer to our end result. So we talked about red as a color for our font, but what about background colors? How can we get those in place? So we're going to add another element. So go ahead, look at your HTML, and you'll see that we've got a main tag over here. This main tag is covering everything in our content. So let's go add a color to that and see how it looks. So usually when you're styling things, you want to style them in the order that you'll see them in the HTML as just a first rule. And then as you get more familiar with HTML and CSS, you can add further rules, which we'll talk about later. So for now, I'm just going to add this main tag to my CSS. Remember from our last lesson, we just got to type in the HTML element, main. Then we use our curly braces. So go ahead and code along with me. Curly, enter. And now we've got the beginnings of our CSS selector. So we're selecting the main tag by using this syntax. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a background color. So go ahead and type this with me. Background dash color. And then I'm going to hit colon. And then I'm going to type in gray, semicolon. Look at that. We are starting to see some semblance of our code starting to form up into something interesting more than just a white block. So obviously this gray color is not going to cut it if we're trying to look at our final result. So let's just kind of look at these side by side. It's not really getting to where we want it to get, right? So this is good though. We're making progress and we're going to be able to color more things. But to understand how we can use color better, we've got to get away from these simplistic colors. Gray and red, they're cool, but they're not these specific colors that we have over here. Enter hex codes. That's right. We have a new terminology, hex codes. So go ahead and you can jump into Google and just type in color picker. So here's what the URL will look like once we're there. So I'm just going to go over here and hit this Google search in. Literally go to Google and just type in color picker. I'll wait. Okay, Google Chrome, if you're in that browser, which we are in, you should see this color picker show up. This is a color picker that allows you to see that there's a lot more colors than just red, green, and blue, for example. And so we can actually look up and down this index of colors, and then we can go over here and click these colors. Go ahead and try it out. It's super cool. So if you want to get a darker purple or a lighter purple, or if you wanted to get to like a blue or cayenne or a green, there's so many things you could do. Cyan, however you pronounce it. So if we look over here, you can see we've got these different colors, right? Also notice down here, we've got other different color types. Guess what? We can use all of these different color types inside of CSS. Let's try it out. So go grab a color of your liking. I'll just stick with this green that I've got. Copy and paste this whole thing right here. So Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac. Let's jump back to our code here. And instead of gray, let's paste our hex code in there. Well, that's pretty cool. So now we're starting to have way more control over our colors. So we know that these colors over here are very subtle and they're different than the direct colors. So I've got the colors and I'm going to type them out for you. I'll just copy and paste them and then you can write them down from what I'm writing. So here we go. I'm going to pull up these colors and we're going to color each piece. So let's start with the H1. The H1 is going to be this hex code right here. So take a second if you need to and copy and paste that hex code in. And this is going to be the color for H1. I'll wait for you. All right, next color is going to be our P tag, because remember we've got a paragraph down here, right? So let's color that. So I'm going to put P, open and close curlies. So now we're starting to get the hang of this CSS thing. And again, we're going to be using the font color. So it's color, colon, and then I've got the hex code here. So go ahead, I'll wait for you. Put this hex code into the P tag. Now we're going to finish up with our main tag. Actually, we've already got our main tag open. Let me put the hex code in for that one. Aha, look at that. We're starting to get closer. You can start to see the blue in the blue. This is pretty exciting. I'll wait for you to put that in. And lastly, we're going to be coloring our section tag. So don't forget about the section, right? This is going to give us that white card that we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and put a section over here. And then I'm going to say background dash color, because we're not going to be coloring the font. We're going to be coloring the background. And then I'm going to put in the color for white. Now you could type in white if you wanted to, but we're going to use the hex code to be consistent. So you may be going, wait a second, what happened to that blue background? Well, if you think about it, the section tag is covering the main tag, so we can't really see it yet. But we're going to continue to investigate our CSS and understand why that happened. So that's why I put it in last. So that, my friends, is CSS colors. So we're getting closer. This color, while subtle, is now matching these colors that we have here. Now, let's say that you're not really loving this maybe pastel look and you want to do something more fun. Well, we've got a really fun URL for you. Let me get this for you over here. So you can check out coolers.co and you could pick out your own trending color palette. So remember, this is your personal website. So you could go through here and you could see the different hex codes for these different palettes. Pick out a color palette that you think speaks to your personality and something that gets you excited about this. So if you want to, you can pick out a trending color palette of your own, or you can follow along with the colors that we've provided for you. Either way, this is how we can use color in CSS, and we're going to continue down this path in the next video.